The human child she raised is now grown, an alien mother's emotional reunion. The air shimmered softly with floating motes of light, and the scent of sweet, alien flowers filled her senses. Zithera was a world of gentle wonders, trees that hummed softly when touched, rivers that glimmered with liquid light, and creatures that moved gracefully across floating islands. Liara loved her home, but today a strange feeling tugged at her mind, a sense that something unusual was coming. She paused beside a small pond, its waters reflecting the twin moons hanging high in the violet sky. Liara adjusted her long, silvery hair and listened carefully. There it was, a faint, irregular signal unlike anything she had sensed before. Her antennae twitched. It was a sound of distress, yes, but also of hope. Curious, she followed the signal, winding through the glowing ferns and tall, crystalline trees. After a short walk, she found it. Nestled among a cluster of phosphorescent bushes was a small, glowing pod, humming quietly. It was unlike any Zitheran technology she had ever seen. Its surface was smooth, round, and warm. And inside, she could see it now, faintly through the translucent shell, was a tiny, fragile human child. Liara's heart skipped a beat. She had never seen a human before. In Zithera's history, humans were rare visitors, and even rarer were human children. But she could feel it clearly. This child needed her. Without hesitation, she knelt beside the pod, placing a gentle hand on its surface. "It is safe now," she whispered softly in the universal language of warmth and care. The pod sensed her touch. A soft light pulsed from inside, almost like a heartbeat. Liara carefully opened the hatch. The child blinked up at her with wide, brown eyes filled with confusion and fear. He was small, no more than a few weeks old, wrapped in strange fabric and shivering slightly. Liara's instincts kicked in immediately. She gathered him into her arms, holding him close to her glowing chest. "Do not worry," she murmured, her voice melodic and soothing. "I will care for you." The child's fingers curled weakly around her arm. For a moment, time seemed to slow. Liara studied his delicate face, the tiny curve of his nose, the softness of his lips. She did not know his name, his origin, or how he had arrived here, but she understood something profoundly simple. He was alive, and he needed love. Liara took the pod back to her small home on the edge of the forest. Her dwelling was a dome-shaped structure made of living crystal, grown from Zithera's own soil. Inside, the walls glowed softly, and the air hummed with a quiet energy that made anyone who entered feel safe. She laid the child on a soft bed of woven biofibers and began preparing a special nutrient solution, carefully designed to nourish him. As she worked, Liara spoke quietly, telling him about the forest, the stars, and the gentle creatures that roamed the land. "You are safe here," she said. "Here you will grow strong and learn the ways of Zithera. You are not alone." Days turned into weeks. Liara named him Evan, a name she had once heard in old human transmission records, meaning bright or strong. The name felt right. Evan grew quickly under her care. His laughter was a musical sound that echoed through the glowing halls of Liara's home. His curiosity knew no bounds. He would reach for the floating motes of light in the air, fascinated by their gentle glow. He watched the small creatures that skittered across the crystal floors and giggled when Liara's tail softly tickled him during play. Liara watched him with pride and wonder. Every day, she marveled at how quickly he learned, how he adapted to Zithera's strange rhythms. Unlike her own species, who relied on instinct and communal memory, humans were curious, always asking questions and exploring new ways to solve problems. Evan was no different. He loved to build small devices from fallen crystal fragments, creating tiny models of floating islands or miniature glowing animals. The forest, too, seemed to welcome him. Creatures that had been shy around other Zitherans approached him without fear. Even the trees seemed to lean closer when he laughed. Liara realized something remarkable. Humans had a spark, an energy that could touch the world in ways others could not. But life was not without challenges. Evan sometimes cried for reasons Liara did not understand, or refused food she thought he would like. She learned patience, discovering the nuances of human emotion. She noticed how he smiled more brightly after comforting words, how his tiny hands grasped hers tightly when he needed reassurance. Every challenge was a lesson, every small victory a joy. As Evan grew, Liara introduced him to the larger world of Zithera. They wandered through luminous forests where the trees whispered secrets to each other. They climbed floating hills and watched the rivers shimmer beneath the twin moons. Liara taught him to speak Zitharan, a language of soft sounds and flowing tones, while also preserving his human sounds, letting him sing lullabies in the language of his birth. Evan showed remarkable aptitude. By the time he could walk steadily, he was already curious about the small technologies scattered across the forest, ancient machines left by explorers, devices that hummed with mysterious energy. Under Liara's guidance, he learned to repair and improve them, combining human creativity with Zitharan understanding. One quiet evening, as the twin moons rose high in the sky, Liara held Evan on her lap, watching him drift into sleep. "One day," she whispered, "you may meet others like you, humans from beyond the stars, but no matter where you go, remember this, you are loved and you are never alone." Evan's eyes fluttered, closed, and Liara felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had found her purpose in this tiny human child, just as he had found safety and love in her care. Together, they formed a bond that transcended species, a bond that would guide them through whatever the universe had in store. Outside, the forest shimmered in the soft light of the moons. Stars twinkled faintly, distant and unreachable, yet somehow close enough to inspire dreams. Liara knew that Evan was destined for great things. Humans had a spark unlike any other species she had known, a spark of hope, courage, and endless curiosity. And she vowed that, as long as she lived, she would nurture that spark. The days that followed were filled with small adventures. Evan learned to climb the crystalline trees, laugh with the glowing creatures, and even communicate simple emotions to the forest itself. Liara marveled at his empathy. He would often pause mid-play to help a small creature, or gently touch a glowing plant to see if it needed care. Even at a young age, he seemed to understand something profound. Life was precious, and all beings deserved kindness. Liara began to wonder about the universe beyond Zithara. The human signals she had once heard were faint and distant, but now, with Evan growing strong, she realized that one day those humans might return. And when they did, she would face a new challenge, letting go of the child she had raised while helping him find his place among his own kind. But for now, there was only the present, and it was beautiful. Evan laughed as he chased a floating light, his tiny feet barely touching the forest floor. Liara watched him with pride, her heart full of love. She knew that, no matter what the future held this moment, this bond was eternal. In the quiet of the glowing forest, Liara whispered to the stars above, "We will face the future together, little one, and whatever comes, you will shine brightly." Evan, unaware of the vast universe waiting beyond Zithara, reached for the stars with his small hands. And in that moment, the alien mother and human child shared a silent promise, to grow, to learn, and to face the unknown with courage and love. Years passed, and Evan grew from a tiny, curious child into a lively and bright young boy. Under Liara's careful guidance, he had learned the ways of Zithara, the glowing forests, the floating rivers, and the gentle creatures that lived among the crystalline trees. Every day brought new wonders, and Evan embraced them with excitement and wonder. Liara had taught him not only the practical skills of Zithara, but also the deeper lessons of life. She encouraged him to observe the world carefully, to notice the smallest details, and to listen to the soft hum of the planet itself. "Every being has a story, Evan," she would say. "Even the smallest leaf, even the tiniest creature has something to teach you." Evan listened eagerly, his eyes wide with curiosity, absorbing every lesson like a sponge. He had grown tall for a human his age, with soft brown hair and bright eyes that reflected both innocence and intelligence. His movements had a careful balance between human energy and the grace of Zithara, and he was beginning to understand how to use his unique talents to solve problems. He loved creating small inventions from the crystals and plant fibers he found in the forest. A broken water filter became a glowing lamp. Fallen crystal shards became a model of a floating island. Liara watched these projects with pride and amazement. Humans, she thought, had an unusual spark, an energy that could transform the world in subtle but beautiful ways. The other inhabitants of the forest had come to accept Evan as one of their own. Small creatures would follow him as he wandered, chirping softly or nuzzling his hands in a gentle greeting. Even the trees seemed to lean closer when he passed, their leaves quivering as if in approval. Liara noticed this too and often smiled. She realized that Evan was not only learning from Zithara but was also influencing it in return. He had a gift, a connection with life itself. Despite this, there were moments when Evan felt a twinge of confusion. Sometimes he would gaze at the sky, wondering about the distant stars, and ask Liara, "Are there others like me? Are there humans somewhere?" Liara always answered with honesty, though carefully. "Perhaps, little one," she said, brushing his hair gently. "The universe is very large, and someday you may meet others who are like you. But remember, your home is here too, with those who love you." These conversations never frightened him. Instead, they filled him with curiosity. He would spend hours staring at the twin moons, dreaming of what might exist beyond Zithara. Liara encouraged these dreams, showing him star maps, teaching him about the constellations, and explaining how different planets moved in harmony through the universe. She wanted him to understand that knowledge was as important as love, and that exploration was a way to honor both. As Evan grew, his talents became more evident. He had an incredible ability to understand Zithara's ancient technologies, devices left behind by explorers from distant galaxies. While other Zitharans approached these relics cautiously, Evan would experiment with them fearlessly, using both his human creativity and Liara's guidance. He modified a small weather-controlled device to help plants grow faster. He repaired a broken communication crystal, allowing distant forest creatures to signal one another with ease. Each small success brought him joy and earned him admiration from the creatures around him. Liara encouraged his curiosity, but also taught him humility. "We learn from everything, Evan," she would say. "Not only from our successes, but also from our mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson, not a failure." Evan listened carefully, absorbing not only her words, but also her gentle way of living, treating all beings with respect and kindness, being patient with the world, and finding joy in small acts of care. The young boy also formed friendships with other Zitharans, though he remained unique among them. They admired his energy and ideas, but sometimes struggled to understand his human perspective. Evan, however, was patient. He explained things simply, shared his inventions freely, and always listened when they spoke. Slowly, the forest community began to see the value in humans, their creativity, courage, and unusual way of seeing solutions that others overlooked. One day, Evan discovered a small grove that glowed brighter than any other he had seen. It was filled with tiny flowers that hummed in harmony when touched, creating a melody of light and sound. He ran to Liara, eyes sparkling. "Look, I think I can make the flowers sing together," he said eagerly. Liara knelt beside him, smiling. "Go ahead, Evan. Listen carefully and feel their rhythm. Work with them, not against them." For hours, he adjusted the tiny plants and guided them with gentle touches. Slowly, the grove began to resonate in perfect harmony, creating a luminous symphony that bathed the forest in soft light. Even the animals paused to watch and listen. Liara's chest swelled with pride. Humans had a special gift, she thought. They could combine logic and emotion in ways that transformed the world around them. Evan's life was not only filled with learning and play, he also experienced wonder and discovery in everyday moments. He learned to climb the floating hills with ease, to leap between crystalline ledges, and to dive into the glowing rivers without fear. Liara taught him about the plants' natural properties, how some could heal, how some could illuminate the dark, and how all were connected in a delicate balance. Evan listened with fascination, always asking questions, always eager to understand. He also learned about responsibility. One day, a small firefly-like creature became trapped in a sticky plant. Evan carefully freed it, speaking softly as he worked. "It's okay, you're safe now," he said. Liara watched from a distance, tears of pride in her eyes. Evan was growing not only in skill but also in compassion, understanding that strength alone was not enough. It must be paired with kindness. At night, Evan would often sit beside Liara, gazing at the twin moons. "Liara," he asked one evening, "do humans have forests like this?" Liara thought for a moment. "Yes, they do," she said. "But each world is different. Some are bright like Zithara and some are quiet and still. Each is special in its own way." Evan smiled, imagining other worlds filled with wonders, knowing that he might one day visit them. Liara's lessons were gentle but profound. She taught him to respect life, to seek understanding before acting, and to embrace the beauty of both the familiar and the unknown. Evan absorbed these lessons eagerly, knowing that Liara's love was guiding him toward something greater than himself. As Evan approached adolescence, Liara noticed subtle changes. His curiosity became sharper, his ideas more complex, and his need to understand the larger universe stronger. He would spend hours experimenting with ancient Zitharan devices, combining them with human ingenuity to create new machines, new tools, and new ways to interact with the environment. One day, he presented Liara with a small model he had built, a miniature system of floating islands connected by tiny bridges of light, each island hosting miniature glowing plants. Liara examined it carefully, her eyes wide with admiration. "You are very talented, Evan," she said. "Humans truly have a special spark. You are not only learning from this world, you are teaching it as well." Evan's face lit up with pride. "I want to help Zithra," he said. "I want to make it better for everyone." Liara smiled and gently stroked his hair. "And you will, my child, but always remember the greatest gift you can give is love and care, not just knowledge and invention." The young boy nodded, understanding the depth of her words. His life on Zithra was a blend of joy, learning, and discovery. He had never felt lonely, for he had Liara, the forest, and the creatures that surrounded him. Yet in the quiet moments, he could not help but wonder about the stars above, imagining distant worlds filled with humans like him. Liara, watching him grow, felt a mixture of pride and gentle worry. She knew that one day, humans might return to search for Evan. And while she wanted him to explore his roots, she also wanted to keep him safe. For now, however, there was only the present, a life of wonder, learning, and love. Evan continued to grow, each day discovering more about Zithra and about himself. He learned that humans had a gift for understanding, creating, and connecting, a spark that could transform the world without harming it. And under Liara's gentle guidance, he was learning to use that spark wisely, with patience, curiosity, and love. As the twin moons rose in the sky, casting soft light across the glowing forest, Evan lay beside Liara, whispering softly. "I want to see the stars someday," he said. Liara smiled, brushing his hair back. "And you will, Evan. But remember, wherever you go, this place, and I, will always be with you." The boy closed his eyes, dreaming of adventures among the stars, and Liara held him close, knowing that the spark of humanity within him would shine brightly, not just on Zithra, but across the universe itself. Years had passed since Evan had first arrived on Zithra. The young boy who once marveled at glowing plants and floating rivers was now a tall, curious young man. He moved with confidence through the forests, climbing crystalline trees and swimming in the luminescent rivers. His mind had grown sharp, filled with knowledge of Zithra's wonders and the secrets of its ancient technologies. Yet, even as he explored the world he had always called home, a small curiosity about the stars above never left him. One calm evening, Liara and Evan were sitting on a hill overlooking the sparkling rivers below. The twin moons glimmered softly in the violet sky, and firefly-like creatures danced above the water. Evan had been experimenting with a small device, a crystal transmitter he had repaired and improved. Its purpose was simple, to send signals beyond Zithra, though they had no idea who would receive them. Suddenly, the device pulsed with a response. A voice, faint, unfamiliar, and distinctly human, came through. Evan froze, his heart racing. "Liara, I think someone is out there," he said, his voice trembling slightly with excitement and wonder. Liara's eyes widened. Humans. After all these years, someone had finally responded. "Calm yourself, Evan," she said, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "These are humans. Perhaps they are trying to find you." The young man's mind raced. He had always wondered if there were other humans like him, far beyond Zithra. And now the possibility of meeting them was real. Yet, alongside excitement, there was also a strange flutter of uncertainty. He had never known anyone but Liara and the creatures of Zithra. The thought of leaving this world, the home that had raised him, the mother who had loved him, was both thrilling and frightening. The following days were filled with preparation and anticipation. A small human exploration vessel had landed near Zithra's edge, drawn by the faint signals Evan's transmitter had sent years ago. The vessel was unlike anything Evan had ever seen, shiny, metallic, and humming with unfamiliar energy. Humans in their sleek suits moved gracefully, scanning the environment, yet there was kindness in their eyes. They were not threatening. They were searching, gentle and careful, for a child lost among the stars. Evan approached the humans cautiously, Liara walking beside him. The humans froze for a moment as they saw him. "Could it be?" one of them whispered, stepping closer. Evan's heart pounded. He had imagined this moment for years, what it would feel like to meet people like him. But now that it was real, words seemed to fail him. The humans spoke softly, explaining that they were explorers from the distant human colony ship, searching for survivors from the long-lost mission. They had traced the signals and hoped to find the child who had vanished years ago. Evan listened carefully, absorbing each word, each hint of his own past. Liara watched silently, a mixture of pride and worry in her eyes. She had raised Evan as her own child, teaching him the ways of Zithra, guiding him with love and patience. And now humans, his own species, had found him. She knew this was a turning point. She wanted him to explore his heritage, to learn about his people, but the thought of losing him filled her with a quiet sadness. Evan took a deep breath. I want to learn about them, he said softly. His eyes met Liara's. But I don't want to leave you. Liara smiled, brushing his hair back gently. You will always carry me with you, Evan, and you will always carry the lessons of Zithra. No matter where you go, our bond will remain. This is your journey, and I will support it. Over the next few days, Evan spent time with the human crew. They showed him their technology, their tools, and spoke of distant worlds filled with humans. He learned of their languages, their customs, and the values they held dear. It was fascinating. The humans were curious, adaptable, and full of energy, much like he had always been. But even as he absorbed this knowledge, Evan felt a deep connection to Zithra, to Liara, and to the creatures who had become his family. Liara guided him through these experiences with wisdom and patience. She encouraged him to ask questions, to explore, and to discover his human identity without fear. Your life is a bridge, she said one evening as they sat beneath the glowing trees. You are both Zithran and human. You can connect two worlds, Evan. That is your gift. Evan nodded, feeling the weight and the beauty of her words. He realized that he was no longer just a child. He was becoming someone who could unite worlds, someone who could inspire understanding and respect between species. The spark within him, the unique energy that humans carried, was beginning to shine brightly. During this time, he also discovered how much he had influenced Zithra. The forest seemed even more vibrant, the creatures more curious, and the rivers more luminous. He realized that humans were not just learners. They were teachers, creators, and connectors. The human spark could bring new life to any world, as long as it was paired with care and respect. As the human crew prepared to depart, Evan faced a choice. He could go with them to explore human space, to discover worlds he had only imagined, or he could stay on Zithra with Liara. His heart was torn, a mixture of excitement and love, curiosity and loyalty. Liara took his hands gently. Whatever you decide, know this: love is not about keeping someone close. Love is about letting them grow, even if it means distance. You are ready for this journey, Evan, and you will make us both proud. The young man smiled, tears glistening in his eyes. I will go, he said softly, but I will never forget you, Liara. You are my home. The day of departure arrived. The human ship hovered above Zithra, its metallic surface gleaming in the twin moonlight. Evan carried a small seed from the glowing forest, a gift from Liara to remind him of his home. She hugged him tightly, whispering words of encouragement and love. Shine brightly, Evan. Show the universe the beauty of humanity, and always remember where you come from. Evan stepped onto the ship, his heart full of excitement and longing. As the vessel lifted into the sky, he looked down at the glowing forests, the rivers that shimmered like liquid stars, and the gentle figure of Liara standing among the trees. A wave of emotion washed over him. This was not goodbye, it was a promise that love and connection could span worlds, and that humans had the power to touch even the most distant corners of the universe. As the ship soared higher, Evan felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. He was leaving the only world he had ever known, yet he was stepping into a universe filled with wonder, knowledge, and possibility. He realized that humans were not only explorers, they were dreamers, connectors, and creators. And he, raised by an alien mother, was uniquely prepared to carry that spark forward. Liara watched until the ship was a small speck in the sky, her heart filled with pride. Evan had grown into a remarkable young man, one who embodied the best of both Zithra and humanity. She knew that this was only the beginning of his journey, a journey that would inspire others, unite worlds, and prove that humans, with their curiosity, empathy, and courage, could thrive anywhere. That night, as the twin moons reflected in the glowing rivers, Liara whispered to the stars, "Go, my child, shine, teach, love, and always remember the home that loves you." Evan, aboard the human vessel, gazed out at Zithra shrinking behind him. He clutched the glowing seed in his hand, feeling the warmth of his mother's love and the endless possibilities of the universe before him. For the first time, he understood fully what it meant to be human, to dream, to explore, and to connect, no matter how far he traveled from home. The human vessel glided through the violet skies above Zithra, its engines humming softly, a gentle rhythm that matched the excitement and nervousness in Evan's heart. He stood by the observation window, gazing at the forest he had grown up in, the glowing rivers and the crystalline trees. Everything about Zithra felt familiar and alive, yet now a new world awaited him, a world of humans, of distant planets, and of possibilities he had only dreamed of. Liara had stayed behind, watching from the forest's edge until the ship disappeared beyond the horizon. Her heart was full of pride and quiet worry. She had raised Evan with love, patience, and guidance, and now it was time for him to explore his human heritage. She had given him the lessons of Zithra, teaching him kindness, patience, and empathy, but the universe beyond awaited experiences only he could face. Inside the vessel, Evan met the human crew in detail. They were kind, patient, and eager to welcome him, yet they approached with respect, aware that he had grown among an alien world. He learned their languages quickly, his mind absorbing not just words but gestures, customs, and expressions. He discovered how humans communicated not only through speech, but also through subtle cues, smiles, hand movements, and the tone of voice. Every detail fascinated him, for it was both familiar and new. The crew showed him their technologies, machines that could map planets, devices that allowed instant communication across light years, and tools that could repair and adapt almost anything. Evan's curiosity sparked immediately. He marveled at their design and began suggesting small improvements, drawing on what he had learned on Zithra. When he demonstrated how his knowledge of the glowing plants and natural energy of Zithra could improve their energy converters, the crew watched in awe. Humans, they realized, were not just explorers, they were innovators, thinkers, and problem solvers. Despite his excitement, Evan felt a pull in his heart. Zithra was home. Liara had been his guide, mentor, and mother. The thought of leaving her behind, even for a while, filled him with an ache he could not ignore. He spent quiet hours in the observation deck, looking at Zithra's surface, whispering softly to the trees and rivers below. "I will return," he promised. "I will come back and I will share everything I learn." Liara's gift to him, a small glowing seed from Zithra's forests, rested in his pocket. It reminded him of the warmth of his home, of the lessons of care, and of the love that had raised him. Whenever doubt crept into his mind, he would hold it and feel the quiet reassurance that love could transcend distance. The humans, sensing his mixture of excitement and hesitation, gave him space and guidance. They introduced him to human culture gradually, sharing stories of distant colonies, family life, and traditions. Evan listened intently, fascinated by how humans adapted to so many different environments across the stars. He realized that humans, like him, were naturally curious and resilient, able to learn quickly and thrive in new conditions. This realization filled him with pride and wonder. He was part of a species with endless possibilities. Days turned into weeks as Evan trained, studied, and prepared for his future. He practiced navigating human ships, learning to read maps and instruments, and understanding the systems that powered the vessel. He also studied communication techniques, exploring how humans built communities, solved problems, and created art, music, and stories. Each lesson made him more aware of the human spark, the unique combination of curiosity, empathy, and creativity that set his people apart. Yet amid the learning, Evan never forgot Zithra. He shared stories of the glowing forests, the rivers, the floating hills, and the creatures he had known all his life. He spoke of Liara, of the lessons she had taught him, and of the love that had shaped him. The human crew listened with fascination, realizing that Evan's upbringing had given him insights into both worlds. He was a bridge, a living connection between humans and aliens, a symbol of what could be learned when care, respect, and curiosity guided one's path. Liara, though far away, continued to guide him in subtle ways. She communicated through messages sent by small transmitters, simple notes filled with wisdom and encouragement. "Remember, Evan," one message read, "your greatest strength is your heart. Let it guide your actions, and the universe will open its doors to you." Evan read these messages repeatedly, feeling the warmth of her presence across the distance. One evening, as the vessel orbited a bright blue planet, the captain called Evan to the observation deck. The view of the planet was breathtaking, a swirling world of oceans, forests, and clouds. "Evan," the captain said, "this is your first real test. You will help us explore, learn, and connect with what we find here. Are you ready?" Evan nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "I am ready," he said, his voice steady. "I will do my best to understand, to learn, and to help." The captain smiled. "Good. Remember, being human means more than knowledge. It means kindness, patience, and the ability to see solutions others cannot. You already have these gifts, Evan. Use them wisely." In the following days, Evan worked alongside the crew, exploring the new planet, analyzing its resources, and helping to solve small challenges using his unique perspective. His upbringing on Zithra gave him an advantage. He thought in ways humans had not, combining logic and creativity with an intuitive understanding of life itself. The crew began to see Evan not just as a child who had been found, but as a remarkable young human capable of inspiring others. Evenings were spent in reflection. Evan would gaze at the stars, thinking of Zithra, the glowing forests, and Liara. He began keeping a small journal, writing down everything he observed, everything he learned, and the lessons from both worlds. He realized that his life was no longer just about learning from Zithra or from humans. It was about connecting the two, understanding the strengths of both, and using that knowledge to help others. One quiet night, the crew gathered around a small holomap of the galaxy. They discussed plans for exploration, trade, and cooperation with other planets. Evan listened, contributing ideas based on his unique experiences. "We could try this method," he suggested, "combining natural energy with our technology. It might improve efficiency and help the environment." The crew exchanged amazed glances. Evan's suggestions were thoughtful, innovative, and respectful of life, a perspective they had never considered fully before. Liara's lessons echoed in his mind. She had taught him that knowledge without care was meaningless, and power without empathy could be dangerous. Evan realized that being human meant more than exploration and invention. It meant responsibility, compassion, and connection. He was ready to take the next step, to embrace his human heritage while honoring the lessons of his alien upbringing. As preparations continued, Evan also reflected on his feelings for Liara. He missed her deeply, but he understood that love was not about holding someone close. It was about trust, respect, and the freedom to grow. He made a silent promise to her. No matter where his journey led, he would return to Zithra, carrying the lessons, memories, and love she had given him. The day of departure from the exploration planet arrived. Evan packed carefully, including the glowing seed Liara had given him, a symbol of his home and their bond. The crew prepared the ship for its next journey, aware that Evan was no longer just a visitor. They were witnessing the growth of a remarkable young human capable of bridging worlds. Before the ship left orbit, Evan took one last look at the planet below, imagining the forests of Zithra, the rivers that shimmered in moonlight, and Liara standing among the crystalline trees. He felt a wave of emotion, pride, love, and determination all mingled together. He understood that his journey was just beginning, and that his life's purpose was to learn, to connect, and to share the unique gifts of humanity with the universe. As the ship soared into the stars, Evan felt a quiet confidence. He was ready. Ready to embrace his human heritage, ready to explore, ready to connect, and ready to shine. And somewhere across the distance, Liara watched the skies, proud of the child she had raised, the human who would carry both worlds within him, illuminating the universe with the spark of curiosity, empathy, and courage. The human ship glided smoothly through the stars, leaving the familiar glow of Zithra behind. Evan stood at the observation window, clutching the small seed Liara had given him. It pulsed softly in his hand, a reminder of the world and the mother who had raised him. Though the stars outside were vast and unfamiliar, Evan felt a quiet strength within him. He had been prepared for this moment. Years of learning, exploring, and growing had shaped him into someone capable of bridging two worlds. The human crew worked around him, excitedly sharing stories of their travels, showing him images of distant planets, and explaining the cultures of humans scattered across the galaxy. Evan listened with fascination, absorbing every detail, but his thoughts always returned to Zithra. He remembered the glowing forests, the rivers that shimmered like liquid moonlight, and the gentle creatures that had been his companions since childhood. Most of all, he thought of Liara, the alien mother who had nurtured him, loved him, and prepared him for this very journey. "Evan," said Captain Rhea, a kind-eyed woman who had guided him through human training, "the universe is vast and there is much to see. But remember, you are not only learning, you are teaching as well. Your experiences on Zithra are unique. Share them and others will see what humans and other beings can achieve together." Evan nodded. "I will, Captain," he said softly. "I want to honor both worlds. I want to show the humans I meet what I have learned from Zithra and the values Liara taught me." Over the next days, Evan explored the ship in detail. He learned the systems, studied star maps, and helped the crew make small improvements to equipment. His Zithran upbringing gave him a perspective no human had considered before. He suggested ways to harmonize the ship's energy flow with natural processes he had observed on Zithra. The crew was amazed. "This is incredible," said one engineer. "You think differently. You see patterns we don't." Evan smiled, realizing that humans had a gift for adaptation, creativity, and problem-solving. But his years on Zithra had taught him to combine these qualities with care, empathy, and a respect for life. It was a balance, he realized, that could change the way humans interacted with the universe. One evening, the ship approached a vibrant human colony, a world filled with tall forests, shimmering oceans, and bustling cities. Humans on the colony had been waiting for news of Evan, and word of his arrival had spread quickly. Children and adults alike gathered to welcome him, curious about the human who had grown up on an alien world. Evan stepped onto the planet with careful awe. Everything felt familiar and strange at the same time. The air smelled different from Zithra, warmer and heavier. The colors of the sky were deeper, and the sounds of birds and wind carried a rhythm he had never known. Yet despite the novelty, he felt a connection to this place. These were his people, humans who shared his heritage, his language, and in some ways his curiosity and resilience. People approached him with smiles and questions. "How did you survive on Zithra?" one elder asked. "What was it like to grow up among aliens?" Evan shared his experiences openly, describing the glowing forests, the rivers, and the gentle creatures. He spoke of Liara, of the lessons she had taught him, and of the love that had guided his every step. The humans listened with wonder, inspired by his story. Evan realized then that he was not just a visitor, he was a bridge. His life had connected two worlds, showing humans that understanding and respect could transcend differences. The colony welcomed him not only for who he was, but also for what he represented, the potential for cooperation, learning, and friendship across species. Amid the celebrations and curiosity, Evan thought of Liara constantly. He longed to see her, to thank her for the years of care and wisdom she had given him. He promised himself that he would return to Zithra, bringing stories of humans and their world, and sharing the knowledge he had gained. The bond between them, he realized, could never be broken, no matter the distance or time. Days turned into weeks as Evan adapted to life among humans. He attended classes to understand human history and science more deeply, participated in community projects, and learned the arts, music, and culture of his species. But he never lost the lessons from Zithra. He approached every task with curiosity, care, and creativity. He suggested new ways to grow food, conserve energy, and harmonize technology with nature, drawing inspiration from his alien upbringing. The humans admired his ideas. They began to see that there was more than one way to approach a problem, and that understanding other worlds could make humans stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Evan had become more than a young man. He had become a teacher, a symbol of what humans could achieve when guided by curiosity, empathy, and a respect for life. One day, a message arrived from Zithra. Liara had sent it through a distant communication channel, a brief but heartfelt note. "Evan, my child, you have grown beyond anything I could have imagined. I am proud of you. Remember the lessons of our forest, the rivers, and the creatures. Carry them with you and shine brightly in every world you touch." Evan held the message close to his heart. "I will, Liara," he whispered. "I promise." The seed she had given him pulsed softly in his hand, a reminder of home, love, and the bond that had shaped him. He realized that no matter where he went, he carried Zithra within him, in his mind, his heart, and his actions. Months passed, and Evan began to take on larger responsibilities. He traveled with the human crew to nearby colonies, sharing his unique perspective, helping humans understand alien worlds, and teaching the importance of empathy, observation, and care. Everywhere he went, people were inspired by his experiences, eager to learn from both human ingenuity and the lessons of Zithra. Yet, throughout it all, Evan never forgot the promise he had made to Liara. He sent messages, detailing his adventures, his discoveries, and the humans he had met. And always he included the gratitude and love he carried for the alien mother who had raised him. Finally, after many months, Evan returned to Zithra. The ship descended slowly, landing near the familiar glowing forests. The air, the rivers, the creatures, all welcomed him home. And there, standing among the crystalline trees, was Liara, her silvery hair shimmering under the twin moons, her eyes bright with tears of joy. Evan ran to her, embracing her tightly. "Liara," he cried, "I've seen so much, learned so much, and I have returned to share it with you." Liara held him close, smiling through tears. "I knew you would," she said softly. "You carry both worlds within you, Evan. You have grown into someone extraordinary, but most importantly, you never forgot where you came from." They walked together through the glowing forests, Evan sharing stories of human worlds, inventions, and ideas, while Liara recounted the changes in Zithra during his absence. Together, they realized that Evan's journey had not only connected humans and Zithrans, but had strengthened the bonds of understanding, respect, and love between species. Evan planted the seed Liara had given him in the center of the forest, a symbol of growth, connection, and the enduring bond between his two worlds. Slowly, the seed sprouted, glowing softly like a small star, and the creatures of Zithra gathered around it, curious and gentle. It was a reminder that life, care, and love could flourish anywhere, and that humans, through their creativity, curiosity, and compassion, could make a positive impact on every world they touched. As the twin moons rose in the sky, Evan and Liara stood together, looking at the glowing forests, the shimmering rivers, and the small sprout that symbolized their shared journey. Evan knew that his life would continue to be an adventure, bridging worlds, sharing knowledge, and spreading understanding. But for now, he was home, and home had never felt so full of love, wonder, and possibility. Liara placed her hand gently on Evan's shoulder. "The universe is vast," she said, "but your heart will guide you, and love will always lead you home." Evan smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest that no distance, no journey, and no challenge could ever take away. He had grown from a small human child into someone who could inspire, teach, and connect across worlds. And in that moment, he understood fully that humans, with their curiosity, creativity, and compassion, could shine brightly, no matter where they went, even among the stars. As night fell, the glowing forest shimmered with a gentle light, and Evan felt a sense of peace. His journey had begun on Zithra, nurtured by love, guided by care, and inspired by curiosity. It would continue across the universe, but one truth remained eternal. No matter how far he traveled, he would always carry Zithra, Liara, and the lessons of his upbringing in his heart. And with that, Evan looked up at the stars, ready to continue his journey, confident that the spark of humanity within him would shine brightly, lighting the way for himself and others across all the worlds he had yet to see.